Before we start today's show, make sure you subscribe to the channel for the best Warriors coverage here on YouTube, bringing you the latest Golden State Warriors news and rumors. When the NBA playoffs are here, we'll be doing watch parties once again. Our NBA draft coverage is consistent and elite. We also are your home for all of the latest Golden State Warriors free agency news. So join the Dub Nation family here at Chat Sports as we get closer and closer to 30,000 subscribers by simply hitting that red subscribe button down below. All right, what's happening? You're watching Golden State Warriors today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of Dub Nation is having a great start to the week. On today's show, we're going to take a look at three centers who this offseason Golden State can trade James Wiseman for. Now, this article coming from Fansided, and I thought it was a pretty interesting list with some star power at that center position, but also dual threat centers and a center who's a little bit under the radar. So they put together this list of three centers who the Warriors can trade Wiseman for. The argument behind the take here is that the Dubs are in win-now mode, and James Wiseman, throughout the first 2 years of his NBA career, since getting drafted second overall in the 2020 NBA draft, hasn't been available. And is he going to be ready to play consistently next year alongside Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson to try to chase an NBA championship? And as of right now, James Wiseman, once again injured. He has been ruled out for the rest of the 2021-2022 season after complications with that torn meniscus in his right knee. He underwent surgery last spring. His return kept getting delayed. Then once he was going to return to the Warriors, he had swelling there, so the Dubs decided to shut him down for the rest of the season. Here's what Fansided had to say about the overall idea of trading James Wiseman. Steph, Klay, Draymond, when together with Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, create one of the best five-man units in the NBA. There are some problems with the Warriors, though, and one of them stems from their lack of size. The Warriors do not start or give heavy minutes to any players above 6'9". It was hopeful Wiseman would erase that flaw, but his inability to get on the court and then showcase his talent has been an issue. And right now for the Warriors, who are their big men? It's Kevon Looney, Nemanja Bjelica, Draymond Green. Can you imagine what this Warriors team would look like and how much more dangerous they'd be even if Wiseman was able to give this team 10 to 15 minutes? That's why they're in the predicament that they're in, and if they have to go up against a Utah Jazz with Rudy Gobert or a Phoenix Suns with DeAndre Ayton, that right there, a little bit of a mismatch for the Warriors. So, before we start to explore this list, I want to hear from all of you watching in the comments section. What would you, the viewer, do? Would you trade Wiseman for a veteran center? T for trade, K for keep. That's a pinned comment on today's video. See if you get hit with that YouTube ad break. Scroll on down and get your votes in. By the time you do that, we'll be back chopping up this list. We start off with Jonas Valanciunas. Now, when he was traded from the Memphis Grizzlies to the New Orleans Pelicans back several months ago, I thought it was a weird trade for Memphis considering how well he played last year, and it actually ended up benefiting both teams. Steven Adams goes to Memphis. He's been good. Jonas Valanciunas goes to the New Orleans Pelicans, and he's been really good. One of the best years of his career, and I think he'd be able to add an offensive element and defensive element to the Warriors roster while also spreading the floor a little bit. Is just a massive body down low that can be sometimes impossible to move. 18 points per game this year, 11.5 boards. He's shooting around 54% from the floor, and on a couple of three-point attempts per night, he's given you about 36% efficiency from beyond the arc. He's also consistently available. He's played 72 games this year, somewhat rare for a big man out there. And unlike James Wiseman, he's actually been able to play. His contract, pretty affordable for the player that you get. You just looked at the numbers, and when you get that level of production for about $14 to $15.5 million over the next couple of years, I really like that value for Jonas Valanciunas, and I think he has that characteristic too, where he can add a lot to the Warriors team on and off the floor as a leader, and we know that the Warriors do prioritize culture because among all 30 teams in the NBA over the last several seasons since this dynastic run, they've had and prioritized culture in the Bay. Valanciunas, among all NBA centers, ranks where? I want you to fill in the blank for me. A lot of good centers in the NBA these days, even as the NBA game has changed. Where do you think Valanciunas factors into that equation? Let me know. fill in the blank. Also, Warriors Today. It's available on YouTube. It's available on Rumble, a new partnership here at Chat Sports and on Golden State Warriors Today. And what do you know? With YouTube subscribers and Rumble subscribers and on the basketball floor in the Western Conference standings, it's the Warriors here. It's the Lakers all the way down here. I want to continue to add to that deficit for Los Angeles, though, and increase that lead. Can we get to 1,000 Warriors Today subscribers on Rumble? Show me that you love the Golden State Warriors and the coverage that we push out by going to rumble.com/WarriorsTV. And when you're there, look for the green subscribe button, like that green color down below. Smash that. Let's get to 1,000 and extend that lead on the Lakers Report. James Wiseman trade target number 2. It's Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. I'm a little bit concerned on Christian Wood because I worry about his cultural fit with Golden State. There's been a lot of whispers, a lot of rumors about him maybe not being the best cultural fit down there in Houston alongside a roster that is very, very young, and Houston as an organization trying to mold those young players like Klay, and they want good leaders in that clubhouse. Is Christian Wood that? Not sure. What I do know, he's had production the last couple of years that's been pretty impressive. More of a finesse big than a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, can give you a little bit more in terms of shooting the basketball all around the floor and from downtown. But the number's really good from a points per game standpoint as well as a rebounding standpoint. 50% shooting, so he's a pretty efficient player. And for a guy who's that big, who can knock down about 39% of his three-point attempts, those are pretty good numbers. Now, he's with a dysfunctional organization, or at least an organization that's been dysfunctional the last couple of years. And maybe that brings the worst out of Christian Wood. If he goes to Golden State and he sees, oh my gosh, I got Draymond Green here, I got Steph Curry here, I got Klay Thompson here with Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and a bunch of other really good vets. I can't mess around no more. Okay, I cannot be a negative influence on these players. I got to really right the ship and be a model citizen. Maybe that brings the best out of Christian Wood. As for the numbers that he puts up with his contract, very similar to Jonas Valanciunas. I would just side with Jonas Valanciunas as you look at the contract figures to my right. He's also going to be a free agent a year earlier in 2023. Pick a big among these two bigs. Who would you go with if you had your choice to trade James Wiseman for one of these two players? J for Jonas Valanciunas, C for Christian Wood. Get those votes in, and let's break down this third James Wiseman trade candidate. It is a familiar face, and we've talked a lot about Myles Turner here on Warriors Today because 2 years ago he was linked to the Dubs heading into the NBA trade deadline. There were more minor whispers at the NBA trade deadline this go around. If you look at the Warriors team right now, though, and can you imagine if they had one of these bigs on the roster to see how much better off they'd be in that front court? Because, like I said earlier, you only have Kevon Looney, you have Draymond Green, and Nemanja Bjelica. That's it in the front court. Now, I think it worked out in the Warriors' favor that they didn't trade for Myles Turner at the NBA trade deadline because he's now out for the rest of the regular season with that foot injury that he suffered a couple of weeks leading into the NBA trade deadline. But will the Warriors revisit this after this year and try to bring in one of the best defensive centers in the NBA, who led the NBA in blocks before he was lost for the season with almost 3 blocks per game? So you know how earlier I had said this list is really a good mixture of some different bigs who fulfill different styles? Jonas Valanciunas can really do it all on both ends, but is more of a bruiser. Christian Wood, more of an offensive player who's a little bit more finesse. Myles Turner, specialty in defense, shot blocking, rim running, rim protection, but he's added to his offensive game over time, and he can shoot the three-pointer a little bit as well. And the Warriors have been linked to Turner, so that's why he kind of rounds out this list. And I think it's a pretty good list put together by Fansided. Will Wiseman be on the team next year? That is my final question for you before we hop on out of here. Will he stick around? Will the Warriors deal him for another veteran piece to try to win an NBA championship? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Answer that question for me. And also, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I made it easy for you, folks. It's the same handle on both social media platforms. I'm always tweeting out and putting up Instagram posts of the latest news and rumors going around the NBA as well as the NFL, and I love interacting with all of Dub Nation. Appreciate all of you for making today's show part of your day. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, peace.